what I'm going to share with you is a little bit outside of the box, but my recent dietary changes with Joshua over the last, I'll say 7 weeks, even in the last 2 weeks, involve a particular tribe of lions in a particular part of Africa and a diet they're eating that caused them to have greater muscle mass and greater
you just
size.
went off on a complete wow.
I did.
Hey, let me take 1 second here to let you guys know that my products, the Titan Crew, are available over at Walmart. You got the pump product, get that focus on the workout, the test booster, bump it naturally, and then the joint support. You gotta keep the joints healthy, that way you can train for a lifetime. I want to take that 1 minute. Let's get back into the podcast. Thanks again.
All right, we have a special guest. Jordan Rubin started the Garden of Life. Here's what you need to do. You need to go Google Jordan Rubin to find out everything this man has done and where he came from himself. And then you understand why this guy is somebody that I believe is the pinnacle of nutrition, and for me to ask all those nutrition questions. A little backstory is that I got lucky enough to meet him through Heath Evans. Remember to go on over to Instagram and block Heath Evans. But that's beside the point. The point here is when I was and my Mona, my significant other, were deciding to have a baby, I went to him to ask him how to set this up and do this the right way with nutrition. Not the right way to have sex. That I called somebody else. But the right way to do nutrition. This is the ultimate guy for me to create I guess you would call him metahuman. How can we create a baby and give him the best nutrients possible? How can I set him up to be the best genetics of both me and Mona? And that comes from food, and it comes from luck. And that's what we did. All right, let's bring this savage of a man, Jordan Rubin. Jordan Rubin, we got you back again. And today, there's two things I want to talk about. And this will make sense to the viewers when they hear how we talk about it. I want to talk about my kid, and I want to talk about your kid. We can talk about genetic makeup. We could talk about what gifts they had. And we can also talk to the points I think have having them around the right people, having the knowledge that we have, and the friendships that we have, and how we can do the best for our family. And I don't want to say that you agree with me, but would you say the number one thing for our kids is nutrition?
You know what, Mike? I would say the number one thing for our kids is example, leading by example. But to your point, nutrition is absolutely important. But I remember a long time ago, my wife and I made a commitment. We said, listen, even though our kids, they're older now, but as they were growing, we wanted to be very careful not to have two sets of rules, one for them, one for us. And people tend to do that. You know, I'm going to really, really take care of my kids, feed them well, but I have different rules. And sometimes they see me eating or drinking different things. So it's really critical to lead by example. And I think what is different about my children than even myself growing up, because I grew up in a very health conscious home. My dad's a naturopathic doctor and a chiropractor. I ate healthy in the house because I was forced to. My kids eat a superfood diet because they own it and they believe in it. So I think leading by example leads your children to conviction. That's the key.
I'll take that 100%. I'll take that over my point of view of nutrition because of the fact that I always talk about at the level I made it to and am in, it's the 1%ers. I get that. So there is some genetic gifts. There is some work ethic behind it and all those kind of things. But yeah, it's the mindset. And so you're establishing a mindset for your kids before anything and everything, which is, I think, tenfold. I mean, it doesn't matter how they eat. If they eat healthy, great. But if they don't have the mindset to want to do that, that's such a bigger deal. So I'm glad you corrected me on that. That's I will change my answer to the mindset to understand that this is somewhat the protocol that you should do, and then go to nutrition after that.
Yes, but to your point, we were very intentional with our family from day one of our children's lives. Now we have a unique situation. So when you said we're going to talk about our sons, we each have one biological son, and I have 5 additional adopted children. And so having them arrive at different ages in their lives was really challenging for us, because we looked at, with Joshua, it was make sure Nikki was fed properly during the pregnancy, all the different stages, certainly after delivery, during breastfeeding, et cetera. Then what did Joshua transition to when he was no longer breastfed? But when we adopted, we have children that came to us from age 2 days to 16 years. And we had 3 that I made an infant formula for at home. And then a lot of the foods that I talked to you about, Titan, that came from us making baby food, from transitioning from this formula for 2 of our children, actually 3. So it's nutrition is absolutely key. And because I have the opportunity to raise 6 children from different genetic pools, I can tell you how important nurture is, because I don't really know the nature of each child's biological parents, but I know it wasn't a good situation. I know there's alcoholism, drug addiction, premature death, bipolar disorder. So my kids that are adopted don't come from good genetics. They often had health challenges, physically and mentally, and we had the privilege to see them overcome challenges through nutrition. So you don't have to convince me that nutrition is critical. And when you ask what the most important age is to start feeding your kids well, my answer is today. And if today is day 1, even better, but it's today.
I had to make notes because I don't want to run over. We're going to have a great discussion today, but you're giving me so much more that I need to know the answers to, because social media jumps on bandwagons. Hey, it's this week is, I'm going to tell you, I don't care how you feel when you wake up, but get up in the morning and do the things you don't want to do. You know, it's like an echo. And I noticed that the echo right now is moving towards the point of view of each individual maybe have a genetic I don't even know how to say the word.
Predisposition.
There we go. Thank you. I can't even spell that. But, you know, to be an alcoholic, to be fat, to be manic depressant, there's things that they're talking about that you're born with it because of your family genetics and stuff. And so this is an incredible opportunity that I have, that you have what you have, that you've been able to adopt kids that maybe have these things, but what you did to set them up to where maybe they didn't go to that. And I had on this morning a friend of mine of over 30 years, and he is prone to alcoholism. He's also prone to being fat, and never in his life did he go that route. And so these are something I think people need to hear your take and your point of view on what you did. So I might have to save that for a later time, because jumping back, that you talked about, when is the day to start with a proper nutrition? And you said today. We started Mona a year before she was pregnant. And so you guys don't know at home, when Mona and I decided to have a family, one of the things I did is I reached out to you and I talked to you. Hey, she's going to become an incubator. What can we set her up now? And how do we train? And what should we do for her body to make sure it is the most prime human she could be to carry this baby? And so we fed her a certain way. We set her up a year before she even got pregnant. And then we went into the pregnancy, and then you and I continued to work together during her pregnancy. So just for you guys at home, that's why I have done, and I've talked about so many numerous times about how Titan is being raised and what we did to try to do the very best we can as parents, to get him to his full potential prior, during, and after he was born. And some of those things were, some of those big things were not just regular milk, but goat milk. If I could find goat milk, or even besides that, was it buffalo milk? There was some things I couldn't get. I didn't have the luxury of getting, but you recommended goat milk was one of your big go-tos, correct?
Yeah, I think when it comes to dairy, and this is so polarizing because you have, in the old days, there was milk that the milkman brought that had cream on top, and you had some milk where you poured the cream off and it was a little bit skimmed. And today you have oat milk, macadamia nut milk, almond milk, and the plant-based milk movement is really strong. But I've been a raw dairy proponent and I'll call it an alternative animal milk proponent for a very long time. And there's a simple reason why. Cow's milk in the United States, for the majority of us, the access to cow's milk comes with a protein that can be damaging to our neurological and immune systems and our gastrointestinal tract. And it's called beta casein A1. It's been nicknamed the devil in the milk. Interestingly enough, mother's milk does not have it. Mother's milk, human milk, doesn't have it. Neither does goat's milk, sheep milk, water buffalo milk, yak milk, etc. So when possible, if you're going to consume milk, there's a hierarchy. I think unpasteurized is best. And where you live, Mike, unpasteurized is more available than anywhere else in the United States. You can buy raw milk at health food stores, at some farms. You can order it, whereas states like Tennessee, it's only available for pets, and we have to do contraband milk. Or I have farms, so I can get it. But it's interesting. And for those of you who don't know my story, I was deathly ill, and I was able to overcome my illness, Crohn's disease, multiple other illnesses. I went down to 104 pounds in a wheelchair. Raw dairy was a big part of that. And I lived in San Diego when I was getting well. So that was a big part of my program. But back to what you were saying, little humans, babies, do much better on milk that is more compatible to their bodies, such as milk that is free of beta casein A1. So if you see commercially milk that says A2 milk, that's kind of in the right direction, but it's still not organic, raw, grass-fed. There's a lot of qualifiers. But if you are someone who says, listen, Jordan, I can't go to a farm, I'm not going to do raw, I'm afraid of it, then I believe whole goat's milk is preferable to whole cow's milk. And I believe babies, if they're going to have infant formula, do not need imitation milk. Soy's awful for boys, especially, not great for girls. And those imitation milks just don't have the nutrition. So
what about, because I not everybody's out there as a parent or having kids. Well, what about just the adults? If they were going to go for milk in their protein drinks, what would you recommend?
I would say that you go with, at minimum, A2 cow's milk, and you can find it now at grocery stores and health food stores. Goat milk, sheep milk. And here's the thing, Mike, what you and I know, people that are competitive bodybuilders, amateur bodybuilders, or even weekend warriors, they are willing to go to great lengths to do certain things. Go to great lengths to find a local farmer's market or farm. So for example, Mike, at the Santa Monica Farmers Market, there's multiple vendors of raw dairy products.
Oh, that's
I know
right.
not everybody lives in LA.
I'm taking notes. I got 2 lists already. We've just been talking for 5 minutes. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. So my point is, there's a website, realmilk.com, that you can find raw milk near you. I'll give you an example, Mike. So my family and I are going skiing in Park City. We live in the Nashville area now, but we're going to Park City, and I found 2 farms there that supply raw dairy products and farm fresh eggs. And so I'm renting a house instead of a hotel. So wherever we go, we find resources.
Yeah.
And nowadays, if you look up raw milk near you, you're probably going to find someone. It's much more common than ever before. And and Mike, you probably know this firsthand, but the old time bodybuilders consumed raw dairy products, raw eggs, the Vince Gironda original program that so many people followed, and then went into sort of the original egg and milk protein that was developed off of that. They mixed it in raw milk and raw cream. They would call it certified raw milk. It was available in California from Stuvie's Dairy. This is what the old timers consumed. I saw a video of Arnold Schwarzenegger. He still eats raw eggs, I think, with the shell in his smoothie, but he had almond milk in there. And that was disappointing to me, because I think raw dairy is one of the greatest foods on the planet if you get it from a reliable, safe source. And California is the best state to do it.
I want to take a second from my show to say thank you to one of our sponsors, Transcend. This is the health and wellness company that my family has chosen to work with. They get your blood work done so you understand what is going on inside. We might look good on the outside, but you never know what's going on. So that's who I'm recommending for you guys out there. Get on over to Transcend. Get your blood work done today. Make sure you're healthy and stay in the game. So I missed. I hope everybody else is paying attention better than I am. I got the A2 milk. And then your second choice behind that would have been what?
Would be goat, that is
goat milk.
Whole milk. So there's a brand
milk.
like Meyenberg is a brand. There's multiple brands of whole goat milk yogurt. There's sheep milk yogurt now across the country. Some great brands, and you can make smoothies with yogurt. Obviously, you don't need milk, yogurt, kefir, etc. But sheep milk, for example, Mike, and again, I could talk for a whole show on sheep milk.
No, I know, but for me, a guy that's going to do this for a lifetime, I don't want to do what a majority of the world does. Oh,
right.
Milk is bad. Cheese, don't do dairy, don't do that. And I'm like, oh, I want my body to understand how to utilize that. I don't want to go away from it and teach my body not to use that. And so I want to stay with that kind of stuff. And so, you know, I'm a big almond milk guy, but I got to switch that up now.
I would totally, if for example, Mike, there's two brands of sheep milk yogurt that are in health food stores and grocery stores right now. And if you will buy the plain sheep milk yogurt, you're going to have 4 times the whey protein of cow's milk, much more vitamin D, no beta casein A1, and it's loaded with really good fats. You can add a little bit.
The world right now.
Yeah. We're gonna run out of it. I've already done that a few times when I started recommending things. But I think the second best thing after raw dairy from a local farm is sheep milk yogurt or goat milk yogurt that's whole milk. And you can use a little less of it if you're concerned with calories, but that is going to be fermented. It's going to have probiotics. It's going to be more digestible. And it's truly amazing. Almond milk is fine. There's a couple of brands that are better than others. If you go to a juice bar and get fresh pressed almond milk, it's fine. But almond milk does not have what cow's milk has. Doesn't even have what sheep or goats, not even close. It's really watered down, and it's fine if you just want something that's fluid, but it's not going to build your body, period.
Yeah. See, I don't mind the calories. I'll remove something later because it really is important to me that my body doesn't shut down how to use carbs, fats of all sources. I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be in this little box of my body can only work off of a little bit of stuff, not everything. So going from there, now this is something that I love this because we're changing things. I knew this 15 years ago that these eggs were the best eggs if you could possibly get them. And he's already smiling and the internet is going to go crazy. And I told you guys this 15 years ago, and so many people cry about this, and the studies show it. And maybe that's why I'm such a freak of size and strength still today, but duck eggs rule.
And just to be fair, Mike, I'm going to talk about duck eggs the same way I talked about goat milk. It isn't necessarily that duck eggs are the best eggs in the world. It's just that chicken eggs or hen eggs are not as powerful as, say, duck eggs, turkey eggs, and goose eggs. Now, duck eggs are much more available than turkey and goose, but I have all of those on my farm. So we're consuming goose eggs, turkey eggs, but by and large, when you switch from chicken eggs to duck eggs, you will be healthier. I mean, Mike, here's the thing, and I laugh because when I was doing research on duck eggs, I always try to find the most optimal nutrition per gram of food, per mouthful, per meal. Why not? If you're going to put something in your body, why not make it the best? Duck eggs are extraordinary. My first duck eggs actually came from California. I think I bought them at the Santa Monica Farmers Market, perhaps. And they're only available in parts of the year unless again you're in California. California is a really good food state, let's just say in some ways, but duck eggs even behave differently. So I'll give you an example, Mike. So I make smoothies for my kids and I use raw eggs. I believe that if the bird is healthy and you rinse the shell, there is very little chance of salmonella or anything else. We've been eating raw eggs for hundreds of years, and we've had more foodborne illness recently than we have then with less raw eggs. So it's baloney when people say they're bad for you. But so I make
I've never
smoothies.
heard that.
Yeah,
I've never heard that duck eggs are bad for you in any
well,
way.
that raw eggs. So
raw.
So when I make a smoothie with duck eggs,
Okay.
or when I make a sauce, or when I make anything, they behave differently. So the yolk, number one, is 2 to 10 times more nutritious than most vitamins and minerals and growth factors. The yolk makes up a greater portion of the egg. So if you crack a duck egg, it's already larger. The yolk is much larger than the white, and that's a lot of branched chain amino acids. That's all the carotenoids, B12, vitamin D, vitamin E, phosphatidylcholine, and serine. And the white itself has a different structure because when you make a smoothie with duck eggs, it's thicker. When you make a sauce, it's thicker. It doesn't foam as much. It is more, my daughter said to me, Dad, what are you doing in the smoothie? I used to be full afterwards. Now I'm hungry. So it's pretty interesting. Even though, get this, Mike, this is brand new for me. The duck egg smoothie had more calories, but my daughter was hungrier after. So something different is happening. And for some people, they're like, that's amazing. That's a weight gaining tool. Well, that's what my son Joshua today, Mike, will eat 25 duck eggs. I know the internet will go even crazier now, but I wasn't sending you.
They don't like me.
press
They're going to go
numbers for
really
no
crazy when they hear the numbers this kid's doing. But before we go there, hey, one duck egg, then why don't I just have 3 regular eggs? That will make up for the duck egg, wouldn't it?
You know what? You could argue that, and I'm not saying you'd be wrong if you had a very high quality chicken egg, but honestly, even gram per grams, if you take the same size yolk, 100 grams of duck egg yolk, 100 grams of chicken egg yolk, the duck egg still wins in key nutrients.
Yeah, I'm going to love this day. Oh boy. So what's because of how these things are going, best eggs if they can't get to the duck eggs?
Yeah, so I always recommend pasture-raised eggs. And the good news is, and whether you're in California or somewhere else, most grocery stores and all health food stores have pasture-raised eggs. Vital Farms is a good brand. Pete and Jerry's. These are national brands. Most places have local brands. But listen, if you live in a rural area at all, you're going to drive by places that say eggs for sale. I know there's an egg shortage right now and there's issues, but if you want to find something, you will. If you're a guy or a gal who works out at 5 a.m, you can take the extra effort to find duck eggs. And here's the other thing, Mike, here's a secret to that. Duck eggs are considered a treasure in Asia. So if you go to a Chinatown or a Korean, or let's say an Asian market, you will often find duck eggs that some of them are going to be pickled, and then you'll certainly find whole duck eggs. The Korean market loves duck eggs as well. So it's worth going out of your way. That's my point. And we go out of we raise 1,000+ ducks, and I bought them as part of our regenerative agriculture program, but also because I didn't want to run out of duck eggs. I mean, they're that good.
I love it. I love it. No, you're giving us so much information. We might have to turn this into a monthly thing with you. Okay, so that takes care of like some of the nutrients that my son was getting and Mona was getting during the pregnancy. One thing that I'll tell everybody, when Mona was pregnant, I pulled her completely off of training for the first 4 to 5 months. And the reason why is just stress to the body. Obviously, our age is a concern because we had a child late in life. And then just brought her back into moderate training instead of a 6-day workout week. And I noticed that with a lot of women out there, for you guys, and if you got family and stuff and you're thinking about having a kid, the reason why I pulled her off completely is the body stresses regardless of how you work out. And for us, we wanted the nutrients to go to the baby and also Mona to keep active, but not active to the point where she's removing that precise calorie intake for the child. Now, this is just our opinion on what we decided to do. But one thing we did do is we made sure that she ate enough calories to keep her body filled, keep the baby happy as we went through the pregnancy. And then afterwards, one of the things was because we couldn't breastfeed for the whole year, which we wanted to. Some women are lucky enough to do it a couple of years. Mona maybe lasted almost the year, but then we had to start doing formula like you suggested and started making our stuff. But the big thing was we got steak in at, I think it was 9 months. We started feeding them steak and started getting them on the steak and bacon and the steak dogs. So we started getting him in some good meats early on in his career, in his life, career. And we're really happy with how he's a happy kid, how he continues to eat throughout the day, even now that he's 3 years old. He's 4 feet tall at 3, which is usually the size of a 7-year-old. So genetics coming into play, don't know, but he's a big boy right now. But you have a youngster that I get. When did Heath start training him?
I know this because around the Rubin house, we keep track of everything. So he is in his 40th week in his 3rd year of Heath's training. So we call it week 40C as opposed to 40A and 40B. So yeah, so that'll give you the idea. 2 years and 40 weeks.
And Heath was on the show last week, and we talked about the little one who's not so little anymore, but the progress he made. And this is also too, you're in the world of health and fitness because of what you do and how you manufacture and put together the very best products. But you also get to, and correct me if I'm wrong, you get to feed him in a way that you're still teaching yourself on his genetics and his makeup and how he functions and his calorie intake. And what have you noticed over the last couple of years? Because he's 17 now, is that correct?
He's 18.
18 now.
Yes.
So we're talking about a 15
senior in high school. Yep.
And like you talked about earlier, the old school guys, I'm one of those old school guys, and I would have the whole milk. I would have the pasta and tuna and whole eggs. And I grew up on a farm, so it was eggs constant. But I think the milk was a little different back in the late 70s, early 80s. And we're also from a farm, so we just got it from the farm next door. So we got it pretty clean. But that being said, what have you done with him when he started at 15 and to where he's now? If you can kind of give us a synopsis of that.
Well, we're always improving. So what we've done this year, and my son plays football, and one of the main reasons Heath is training him is obviously Heath's experience there. And Heath is like family to us. I know he's like family to you as well. So we're extended
I don't even
family.
like the guy.
Yeah, well, I like him a little more than you do then. But so when Heath started training Joshua, I was already feeding him an exceptional diet really since he was born. Even in the last few months, we've made some interesting changes. And Mike, we do have to probably save part of this for another show, because in a particular part of Africa and a diet they're eating that caused them to have greater muscle mass and
You just
size.
went off on a complete wow.
I did, but that's honestly how science is observation. And so
yeah,
I was listening to a short of a podcast, and I heard somebody say, "Have you seen the freaking lions in Okavango? They're 50 to 100% bigger than other lions." And so I looked up all the details. I watched a documentary, read excerpts of a book, and I extrapolated literally what these lions are doing versus other lions, because all lions are carnivores, but it was a particular type of meat, a particular type of activity. And so I said, you know what?
Wow.
I'm going to try this. I don't like to talk about something before I do it. So we had 2 times in the last, I would say 10 weeks. Joshua finished his football season December 1st. And the first 2 weeks of his off season, we went on a certain 2-week program. And, you know, when you're at the end of a season, you lost weight, you're sort of at a low, we expected to get good results. So then I said, okay, we're going to do that. We got great results. He gained 8.2 pounds in 2 weeks, and his strength went up. Then I said, okay, fast forward. We're going to wait till he gets to his highest performing weight ever. And we're going to go another 2 weeks and show what it's like to have a trained peak. I'll call it, high school amateur athlete. And let's say he's on day 7 of that, Mike, and he's already 5.5 pounds up.
So is he getting back to what he previously was without the special or with it?
No. So he went end of the football season. You're sort of, you lost weight,
Right.
strength. So we put him on a program for 2 weeks, and he did great.
Right.
And I said, but you know what? That's muscle memory. People are going to argue that, it's just catching up. So then I decided once he hits his peak weight, which he
then
did,
you'll do the test again
7 days ago. Now we're going to do an advanced program, and he's already in 7 days gained 5.5 pounds, and he's and that's some of the results I texted you about today. So Mike, I didn't text you this.
Yep.
I was doing the math. I love numbers. So 5 weeks, and this is after Joshua already gained his weight back, and he's a big kid. I'll tell you how much he weighs in a minute, but he's increased his incline barbell bench press volume 38% on the same day versus 5 weeks ago, right? So in other words, today's Thursday. 5 weeks ago, he did the same exact workout. He had 38% more volume today, 5 weeks later. And we're talking about him pushing numbers that are elite for a teenager. This isn't.
You sent me those numbers. So just so you guys don't understand, this morning I got a text from both you and Heath is on it. And so we were all talking about the numbers he's doing at 18 now. And he is doing better. And I was a state champion 3 years in a row in high school. And he's doing better than me. So that's cool to see those kind of numbers he's doing. So
yeah, we're super excited. And Heath and I talk about it all the time. He has been a huge blessing to Joshua in so many ways. And I know he's reached out to you and other friends to get the best of the best. And then we pair it with the best nutrition, the best mindset. And, Joshua has to do the work. You know what Heath did today, which is it works on certain people. He said, Joshua, we normally do 4 rounds of 2 to 3 exercises. He said, hey, if you hit these numbers in the first 2 rounds, you get the next 2 off. You need a little incentive sometimes, but Joshua's week over week growth. Now we're talking about, Mike, his PR last week, his PR the week before. He's hit 5 weeks of PRs in a row. And it's not normal, and we're super excited about it.
Here's one thing that I want the listeners to understand, and I've said this I've said this over my 40 years of being in the magazine. I've said it over and over again. This age that we're talking about right now, that 13, 15 to 18 to 20, that is golden. If you can do, and me and Heath always say how we trained and how you ate at that age, you can build such a foundation that you get to keep that incredible thing for your lifetime. And he's doing that right now, building that great foundation, and he's growing, and you guys will grow if you can do your nutrition with somebody that understands nutrition in a good way, mostly for that age. Because I think the one big thing is, like you said at the beginning of the show, how the parents are transfers to the kids. And so a lot of parents in the health and fitness world believe that it's chicken and broccoli and just stay very lean and low fat and no carbs. And they feed their kids that way. And I'm seeing that. And I'm seeing a lot of parents that believe in, again, I don't want to run them the opposite way, but the vegans, that's forced onto the kids on how they want to eat and stuff. And I'm sitting there going, they're still growing. They're still growing so much. And what's your take on that? Because that one hurts me, because I see these kids have such potential, and then the parents are shutting them down because of their beliefs on nutrition and what they have to do at 30, 40, 50 years old compared to what kids can do at 15, 16, 17.
Listen, I think that a child who is a teenager can train hard and do well on just about any diet to an extent. I mean, it's true. Not saying extraordinary numbers, but if somebody puts in the work, the body is desperately trying to grow. However, if you consume a primarily plant-based diet, it isn't simply what you're missing out on. You're missing out on certain minerals, such as iron. You're missing out on vitamins, particularly fat-soluble vitamin A, D, and K2 for the most part. You're missing out on certain fats. But also, a predominantly plant-based diet, you need to replace the calories. And oftentimes, teenagers or children who eat a plant-based diet are consuming a lot of nuts and seeds and beans, legumes, and those have nutrient inhibitors, grains. So you're not only missing out on good things, you're consuming foods that are blocking the absorption of those good things. So it's and if you're consuming a diet that contains soy, whether you're a female or a male, that's going to disrupt your hormones. It's going to disrupt so many things. And I'm not even talking about a strictly plant-based diet. A plant-dominant diet as a teenager is not going to build long-term health and wellness, in my opinion. Now, there's resiliency. As I said, a teen can eat almost anything. Most teenagers eat a diet of chicken nuggets and tacos, but you are going to pay the price. And we're seeing young people, and I say young, in their 20s, with degenerative diseases that used to be reserved for those who are 60, 70, and 80. You can't get away from it anymore. You need to consume a high nutrient diet that has a lot of animal foods in it, period. Especially your audience, Mike. If someone's watching this, if you think you can build muscle as a teenager eating a plant-based diet, you're right. You can build much more muscle and internal health by eating a predominantly animal-based diet. That's what I believe.
Well, you believe, but you've also done this and you've studied this and you got the experience beyond belief. And also remember, we're not just talking to a guy that does this and lives this and is financially able to do it at this level, but you're also talking to a guy that at one point was very ill and was on the down low. But at that stage, you discovered by your own self how to pull yourself out of something like that. And that's an education that you can't get at any college. And so when we're saying this, we just want you guys to be that 1%. Anybody that's watching this, I am so telling you as a youngster, just use food and use food to be the catalyst to all your dreams, regardless if you want to be a bodybuilder, powerlifter, martial arts, I don't care, but use it to set yourself up so you can have a long life and be healthy for a long period of time. So, I mean, that's really, I think for me, what I want the fans to get today. And you have so much knowledge in that field. Can you give us just a couple, we have a couple more minutes here. And I know that you guys want to get so many more questions answered, but we'll get back on here with him in the future. But right now, I just want to kind of finish up with the calorie intake, because again, I know you're a numbers guy and I know you can tell us exactly how much he's eating, what's his body weight now, and how much his body weight has changed from 15 to 18.
Yeah. So we're very adamant about weighing every single day and tracking everything. So I can give you these answers specifically. So when Joshua was 15 and Heath started training him, he started at about 163 pounds. And today he'll probably hit his record at 240 and he's 6'1". So obviously that's large. He is, by the grace of God and the help of Heath and some great coaches, going to play Division I college football next year. And he's going to be a fullback, which was Heath's position. So we're looking to get him to be probably around 250. But the truth is, Mike, we're not putting a weight on him. We're just feeding him what he needs. And we're going to let the body, through the training, express itself. So we've got, call it 16 weeks left. We've been doing, we're doing 3 7-week programs. And in that 7 weeks, there's a week that we call it active recovery. So part of our active recovery will be skiing during the next 7 weeks, and we'll go on another vacation before he starts his 12 months a year, 5 years of football. But so he started at 163. He's at 240. He'll probably get to 250. And here's the thing, Mike. The first year he gained 50 pounds. This year he'll also gain close to that because he lost some weight during football. And one of the keys, I think, we'll get to calories in a moment, but during the off season for football, one of the main benefits he has is that he is eating consistently I wouldn't even say 2 hours, because he eats 5 meals a day. 2 of them are smoothies, but he takes a while because there's multiple foods. He's not shoveling them down. During football season, he would have to drive to practice for 4 hours, drive back. The consistency wasn't there. So I'm learning that a constant flow of calories is really key to keeping a healthy weight. And in addition, and Heath will tell you this, you don't want to build a 250-pound slug. So
No.
Joshua is not only going to be 250 pounds, but he's going to be faster than he was at 163 pounds. That's, I think, Heath's biggest claim to success here, is that he helped create a faster athlete. And if you do the math, you don't have to be a genius, but you understand what the force dynamic is. If you're running the same speed at 80 pounds heavier, it's going to create way more force. If you're running faster at 80 pounds heavier, it's almost exponential. And so, we're really excited about the results. And on a calorie, you asked about calories.
Not yet. Don't give me that yet, because
Okay,
I want to cover a couple of things here. There's so much that you and I agree on. It's the continuous feeding the body relative to starving it, especially at that age, especially on how the body works at such a young age. And so on a future time, we'll talk about fasting. And fasting, actually, we'll try to break it down for scenarios on the individual, what issues they have, and also what ages they are. Because what I'm seeing is the constant teenager going, hey, I fast half of the day and then I eat a couple big meals. And I'm like, you're such at the wrong age to do this. Especially trying to be a football player or a martial artist or something. And so later on, I want to do that. For everybody's listening, the gaining of the weight, he said already, he's allowing the body to move at its own speed, and it does do that. And so one thing that you said is he put on 50 pounds the first year, and it's like that same stage that I put on 100 pounds. We didn't force it. We let the body just do it. I went through puberty. I timed it nicely. It was a great thing. But we're not forcing his number to go up, because we don't need a 250 slug. We need a 250 running a nice 40 time for your son. And so it's cool that you got Heath there and that he's keeping them in track. So just for you guys out there, it's not, he didn't put this weight on and it's a sloppy kid. This kid's going to play D1 and he's making gains. And I'm telling you, it's an amazing thing to watch. You feed him and you're not tight roping it. So you're checking his body, because here's one of the big issues in today's society is, if you're going to put size on and you're going to bulk up, make sure it's only 100 or 200 grams calories above your base, I guess you would call that. And I just go, wow, that's so weird, because I wouldn't have been able to do that as a kid, because I'm, first of all, 16, 17 years old. I got football practice. I got to go weightlift after that. And then I'm a hyper kid. I don't know what that 200 would be. And so I was so happy that I didn't hear that. And I didn't think that. And I wasn't coached that way. I ate and I ate good. And I put on that size. And then next thing you know, at 15 years old, I squat 600. I'm like, okay, I did that right. And I don't see parents doing that now. And I don't see the Society of Health and Fitness doing that now. They want to tightrope it. And I didn't do that with Mona having my child. And I don't know how, are you keeping it 100 over, 1 gram over, or are you giving them enough to go, we need to move this way and the weight's got to go that way?
Yeah, try double the calories that the statistics say he would need for his weight. And here's the funny part, Mike. there'll be a week or two where he is consuming twice the amount of calories that the charts would say he's burning, and he doesn't gain weight. Calorie in, calorie out is not true. I mean, it's honestly, that's like saying I'm going to drink 2 pounds of water and I put on 2 pounds of weight. I mean, that makes more sense. 1 calorie, I get that there is a certain amount of calories that go into a pound. I know that how the math works, but I promise you that it doesn't work that way on someone's body. I've seen too many people consume the same amount of calories from different sources and they get different results in a different body chemistry or genetics. So Joshua, a good way of saying it is he consumes at least twice the amount of calories that he would be burning according to any scientific chart. Now, when football starts in the summer and the fall, he won't be able to do that. So therefore, he's going to naturally likely lose some weight. But what we're working on now, Mike, which is another phenomenon, because you all know this if you want to try to lose weight, if you stay at a certain weight long enough, you don't need the same amount of calories to maintain it. Yeah. And that's a crazy phenomenon called homeostasis, but it's true. So we're trying to get Joshua to a weight that he is his sort of floor, his threshold, knowing that even if he eats less, his body will fight to keep it that weight. That's the key for my son. Now, he's not a bodybuilder. He's not bulking and then he's going to be cutting. He's bulking and getting stronger and more powerful and faster, knowing that he's going to have more activity. He's going to be in class. He's not going to be able to eat 14 ounces of buffalo meat at a meal. You know, it's just not going to happen every single day like that. So off-season training is critical. And Heath and I talk about this all the time, Mike. There's more student athletes and amateurs that are getting ready for combines or scouting or a certain big season in the off season than ever before. And we really found a formula that I think can transform kids, young adults' bodies, girls and boys, but we're not doing it through tons of protein powders and creatine, et cetera. It's a food and food supplement based program. And I've seen it work many, many times. I've got a kid coming over this weekend who's a 6'8", 160-pound basketball player. And he doesn't want to gain 100 pounds, but he needs 50. So we're going to go through the foods, let him try some of them. And the goal is the most nutrient and caloric dense foods per gram or mouthful. And guess what that equates to? A lot of fat, because fat's more efficient than carbs and protein. It's just a fact.
All right. Give us the calories for this young lad.
Now, keep in mind, I use foods a lot of times that don't have labels. So I can't tell you what every food is, but a range, he's probably, Mike, between 8,000 and 9,500 a day.
And again, man, he's changed so much. And again, if you don't know, guys, Heath would fly out because Heath lived with me and would fly out to train him for weeks and then come back and we'd talk about it. And I'm glad that Heath still got him on my inclines. That's going to pay dividends in all athletics. But it's so fun to be able to sit down and talk with you. I don't know if this show will even air. They're going to try to cancel all of this. The information you gave is, I mean, yes, I'm a little hyped because it's an echo of what I've said for years, but it's great that it's coming from somebody like you that have done so much good in the world. And I know you got to go, so get out of here.
Well, Mike, hold on. I want to share one thing so you don't get canceled. So I have a 15-year-old daughter who's an 8th grader, and she plays varsity basketball. And we put her on a program where she was eating a similar diet in terms of types of foods and a strength training program. But instead of trying to have her gain weight, we wanted her to gain strength and speed at the same weight, right? Because everybody's different. So yesterday, she did some sort of maxing out after her last game of the season. It was a morning workout after a night game where she played almost the entire game. She increased her vertical jump 6.9 inches in the last 27 weeks. And she's a female, and she now jumps higher than elite volleyball players. She's not tall. And she actually lost a couple of pounds and increased her deadlift by 120%. So this is not it's not about 9,000 calories and gaining weight. It's about looking at the athlete, looking at the athletic sport or endeavor, and using training, food, and the right mindset to meet the goals. And they're all different. The same, Alexis eats the same foods, just in a different quantity and different balance. She does similar exercise movements, but different time frame, different rest periods. And she achieved her own goals. And she's had an amazing season. 8th grader playing against seniors and juniors. And Heath's coming this weekend, and you're going to put her on a program now. So look out.
I love that. I'm glad you said that, but I think my fan base, more than any other fan base, understands when I speak about nutrition, and it is about guys and girls, and it is about, I don't care if you do powerlifting, martial arts, or whatever. It's about life. And so you viewers better know that this is a nutrition that you can help guide the businessman to the mother to the kids, like we've been talking about. But man, thank you so much for taking time today. And we got to talk about cholesterol next time. We got to talk about fasting. We got to talk about how I changed up my milk intake.
There you go.
And so we got a lot to cover at a future date. Thank you again for everything. And we're going to put down a list of ways to contact you, or at least the company, because I know these people are going to be trying to reach out.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thanks, my friend. Talk to you. There was some incredible stuff that he gave here. Some incredible stuff. And I want you guys to save this video, go back and watch it again and listen. And again, when you listen to the information, we talked about his son, his daughter, but we also talked about him and what he's done, and then how we believe nutrition helps you guys for a lifetime. This show is not about saying, don't be a vegan. You can be whatever nutrition you want to be. You can do anything you want to be. We're trying to get you to think. That's all we're trying to do, is trying to get you to think and try to answer some kind of questions on don't be so locked in to everything that you read. That's the problem, I think. And I think I was so blessed to grow up the way I did, is that there wasn't so much of this other information, or people trying to tell you that their way of nutrition is better than the next guy's. This is one way to do nutrition. Has it helped me? 100%. Has it helped everybody I worked with? 100%. But again, try it. You don't like it, move on, try something else. But the idea of, when you're young, to try to tightrope your 100 calories over your nutrition plan, you're first of all saying this: I am exactly like the other guy that's the same size and weight as me. That's what you're saying. You're mentally saying, I'm 6 foot, 200 pounds. I need to take in 3,500 calories. Why? Because that's what everybody says I need to do. And what he said was beautiful. He says, I get it. Yeah, numbers and charts are beautiful. Test it. Freaking test it. I'm glad I didn't do that number thing when I was a kid. I ate my calories. I kept track of what I was eating. I was losing weight. I ate more. Now, are you saying that, oh, well, then your calorie intake was 5,000, 6,000. Well, then why did it go up a year later? And why did it go up to a number that nobody should be able to burn? And here's one of the great things. I saw a post last week, and it was about my co-star, the star of the movie, I'm the co-star, of Jonathan Majors. And it talked about how he dieted on 6,000 calories to get ready for the movie Magazine Dreams. And you know what the comments, and this is the comments from pros going, oh yeah, and he must have been on this, and this. So what they're saying is, there's no way this 200-pound guy was eating 6,000 calories for a movie, because he would have to be on something else, because his body couldn't utilize 6,000 calories. Well, that's not the case. You guys can say whatever you want, but he didn't do anything extra for this movie. He trained. He trained a couple times a day, like he said. I know who they trained with, and I spent months with this guy. He ate incredibly well, and for his body And for him himself, he could eat that many calories doing a first-time lifting plan to that extreme. It was very unique to him. It was a start-out kind of guy. Obviously, he lifted and played football earlier on in his career. But this is the first time he started training bodybuilding style and doing 2-a-days and training with somebody that really understood how to bodybuild and build muscle and keep lean. So again, you're going to go, no, there's no way 6,000 calories. He did. Now, here's the other thing. I've done this my whole life. I couldn't eat 6,000 calories. I had to diet down, and I was incorporating things like fasting, which I don't like doing, but I had about 8 weeks to get ready for the movie. And so my calories were low. So 2 guys, one's Mr. Universe, and the other guy's an actor. He ate 3 times as much as I did. So don't get so locked in on the numbers to where you're the same as everybody else. And do not starve yourself. Everybody out there, do not starve yourself. Put the calories in, learn how to train to burn those calories off, make the body stronger. You can stay the same body weight, like Jordan's daughter. I know this was a big outro, but I just really wanted for you guys to understand there was so much information in there in such a short period of time. This show will help you more than most of the shows I've done, because this will tell you how you should probably start analyzing how you're eating and remove everybody else from the scenario. Okay? That's it, man. This is the Mike O'Hearn Show. We will see you next week. And also on this, especially on this episode, comment below and tell me what's your thought on milk, what's your thought on duck eggs, what's your thought on being able to do this. Again, take financial out of it. If you can't do those things, we all understand. I grew up, I had a paper route, bought my own food. I had to do what I had to do, right? But change it. Comment below. Tell us what you think. Jeffrey, any final statements from you that has been watching this one?
That was probably, we got to have him again. That was probably the best episode. And I wanted to keep asking him more questions. Wait, what kind of meat should I eat instead of this? Wait, I wanted to go more on the eggs, more on the milk, more on the, he brought up the fact about there are, like, the legumes have nutrient inhibitors.
Right.
So, wow, if
Yeah.
you're eating a vegan diet or a plant-based diet, you're healthy. Well, actually, you're inhibiting your body from digesting these things that you think are healthy. So, want to go more into that and how he optimizes.
That's a lot of great information. Jeffrey's just watching this from the side, but he's seen these shows. Man, I could sit here and talk about this show forever right now. I mean, I really could. So I know this was a closer and stuff, but there was just, Jeffrey's right. Hey, by eating this, are you shutting down that?
Yeah.
Don't shut yourselves down. Guys, if anything you've learned from me in health and fitness, if you don't learn the concept of you're unique, you're different than everybody else, believe in yourself and that you are not the same as everybody else. Man, take that away from this show and every other show we do, because everybody I've been on here with, they're just unique and they do things their way and they remove the textbook from it. Man, I hope this goes viral, this information. And I hope all the so-called experts that I don't listen to chime in and talk about this going, this isn't true. This isn't true. And that's why you look the way you do.
That's right.
Yeah. You can talk about this, but you can't do it. So shh. I guess that's really the truth of the matter now. Let's get this, guys. Have a great day. We'll see you next week.